You know what? I had to crash the party a little bit this week. I had to crash the party. I got a top 5, as you mentioned, because I had this idea. Just we were show prepping, trying to think about the podcast here, and I kind of came up with an idea, a rabbit hole. I explored down, and then I thought, you know what, this is gonna make a good top 5. So this week on, oh god, okay, I'm gonna do it just for you on this week's edition of Mitch Mo's top 5 list of the week. I think I should do it like a pop punk version, or like I should do like a like some different version of like the jingle. I'm gonna work on that.
Workshop
a Dallen version of the jingle. But I got a top 5, and this week, in honor of the Denver Nuggets taking home their first NBA championship and joining, or in fact, sort of getting off a list of franchises that have never won a ring or a championship trophy in their respective league. This week's top 5 is the next 5 franchises who will win their first championship. So I'm gonna give you 5 teams across all major sports in the United States, MLB, NFL, NBA. I'm gonna give you the 5 teams I think are most likely to be the next team to win their first championship in franchise history.
I love that. So, oh my gosh.
I'm very excited for this. I've spent, put it together. I've got a lot of lists now. Listen, so between the NBA, MLB, and NFL, there are 29 franchises that have not won their respective championship. That's a third of the teams in those major leagues have never won the league. So first off, that is just like a surprising stat to see. But we're going to go in order here, starting with, in my opinion, I guess the least likely, and we'll end with the most likely to get it done. So that's the top 5 today. And we're going to start in the MLB, Mitch, our lone MLB entrant. I'm going with the Texas Rangers. I'm going the Texas Rangers as the next likely team. And listen, there are 6 MLB franchises that have never won the World Series, okay? Colorado Rockies, the Milwaukee Brewers, the Seattle Mariners, the Tampa Bay Rays, and then 2 teams that I considered, okay? Texas Rangers are among them, and the other one is the San Diego Padres. And you know what, Mitch? I just couldn't pick the Padres. Even if San Diego even made more sense for this, I was not going to pick San Diego. I was not going to pick San Diego, Mitch. You know why?
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Yeah.
That's why. So I hate the Padres, and I will never root for them. So they will not win a World Series. But the Texas Rangers, Mitch, I kind of approach MLB like this, right? We know in the major leagues, you have to be able to have money to win, right? Just frankly, the way that the MLB is structured, big payrolls win championships. It's really hard to win when you aren't in the top 10 or 12 of payrolls in the major leagues. The Texas is 10 right now in the MLB, right? They have the type of payroll and the infrastructure to build a winning team. Now, as currently constructed on this list, they may be the farthest away, right? As currently constructed, but they have the infrastructure to put together a team, to acquire the pieces and pay enough players to bring a championship level team to Texas. Now, I think almost the biggest question is, can you get past the Houston dynasty? I mean, the Astros just seem to dominate not only the AL West, but the whole American League. So can you get past that? What does that future iterations of that league look like? But Texas was the one I spotlighted. Maybe they're still 10 years away from that. Again, the current iteration, it's not like they're a World Series competitive team at the moment, but a franchise set up to get over the hump and win that first World Series.
Well, this was a team that was in the World Series back-to-back years, 2010 and 2011, I believe, or maybe it was 2011, 2012. But they have the financial ability to do that. And like you said, baseball has no restriction on that, really. So this is going to be a team that you expect. And right now, hey, they're leading the AL West. They're leading the AL West right now. So like,
here you go.
They're going to be a team that's going to be looked at as a competitor. So number 5 on the list, I don't have any problem with that. I think that's a great spot for him.
Okay. All right, Mitch, let's go to number 4, our lone NBA franchise on this list. 11 NBA franchises have not won the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Denver just removed itself from the list this year. And I'm adding to this list a Western Conference team who has been in the finals, who should win one, and in theory is in their championship window right now. And I'm going with the Phoenix Suns. And I'm going to go with Phoenix. Similar reasons. Market-wise, it feels like Phoenix is the type of franchise that could build a winning championship roster, right? There are just certain teams that aren't really equipped to do that, whether it be ownership, location, the history of the franchise, whatever it may be. I think my biggest questions are this new owner, Matt Ishbia, who has clearly thrown a propensity to do whatever it takes to do what he thinks is necessary, right? The trade for Kevin Durant, the trade for Bradley Beal. I mean, all this draft capital is gone. He wants to win now. Will it actually work? Still TBD, but I mean, at least you have an owner who's willing to try everything he can to win a championship. And I bet you of those 10 other teams on this list, over half of them can't say that. Over half of those franchises can't say our owner wants to win a championship every year. So having that at your disposal is huge for Phoenix. Obviously, with the team as it is, Booker, Durant, Bradley Beal certainly should be in the conversation. But I think just in general, with the direction of this team, feels like a franchise that is just going to get it done probably sooner rather than later.
Certainly with the way they're built. Absolutely. They definitely should be built to win right now. Absolutely.
Okay, Mitch, number 3 on the list, our lone NHL team.
Oh.
And of course, I had to do it for our boys, the Seattle Kraken, at number 3. Because if the Vegas Golden Knights showed us anything, Mitch, it's that there's the blueprint right there, right? In the NHL, if you're a competent franchise, you get a good talent, you can get the playoffs immediately, and you can build towards that championship winner. And that's what we did this year. Seattle, second year of the Kraken, get to the playoffs, making a little run, win a playoff series. Okay, that's awesome. Let's build upon that. Can we do it within the 6 seasons of existence? 4 more years? Can they do it in 4 years? Maybe 5? Maybe it's a little longer. That's okay. I have absolute belief that the Kraken within the next decade will win the Stanley Cup, and we'll be celebrating it. So number 3 on the list, because I think it's pretty likely that Seattle's going to get it done. So Seattle Kraken at number 3.
Thank you for putting them on this list. Yeah, they're definitely built that way. And I think that in the next decade, we definitely should be celebrating a Kraken Stanley Cup. So
we will hope, Mitch. The final 2 on the list here are both NFL franchises. There are 12 NFL franchises that have not won the Lombardi Trophy. And at number 2, with the, I guess, second most likely, I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to give Buffalo the number 2 spot here. Obviously, this is a franchise who has experience in the Super Bowl, went to 4 straight Super Bowls. Now, they unfortunately have a history of losing Super Bowls, so that doesn't help their case. But it's a franchise that knows how to get there, and I think that matters. And right now, they have a quarterback in Josh Allen who is the type of guy that can get you to and win a Super Bowl. And that's half the battle in the NFL is just getting a quarterback good enough to do that. Now, can you put everything else around him to do it? That's obviously the question for Buffalo. Certainly not easy in the AFC with the route that they have to go, but Josh Allen is capable. And this coaching staff too. I believe in like the infrastructure around Buffalo as well, right? Sean McDermott and his coaching staff, the ownership clearly seems to be giving them the support that they need, and they have so much talent there that it feels like a team that's going to get it done. Buffalo Bills, number 2.
I don't know how you don't have them number 1. Now I have to know who the number 1 is, because, like, man, that would be my number 1 is the Buffalo Bills. They seem so ready to win right now.
That they do, Mitch. That they do. But my number 1, and again, another NFL franchise here, a team in a very similar vein to Buffalo, but they did make a Super Bowl, and they lost it. But I maybe predicted them to go to the Super Bowl and win it in our way too early predictions. So we're going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going Cincinnati is the number 1 most likely. And I think the difference for me, because honestly, you could put Buffalo, Cincinnati 1A, 1B, right? I think those teams are both right there as far as they've got the quarterback, the requisite quarterback talent, the requisite roster around them to succeed, right? Couple questions here. First off, for both of these teams, you have to go through Patrick Mahomes. And that is probably the worst. That's the worst thing you could say for any of these teams' odds is you have to go through Patrick Mahomes to get there, though. And that's proven to be easier said than done because only two people have done it, Tom Brady and Joe Burrow. So that is obviously going to be a challenge. I think for Cincinnati, one of the more unique challenges is, do they have an ownership team and the resources available to build a true contender for multiple seasons? Right? Cincinnati is known as one of the ownership groups that has the least amount of extra income. They can't overspend, pay out of pocket, pay cash for certain things, balance out the budget by paying signing bonuses out to save cap room. They can't do that the way other owners can because they don't have the infrastructure and the cash flow and the capital to do that. So with those restrictions, can Cincinnati sustain contender status for multiple years? Is it going to be a 1 or 2 year fluke and then back to, whatever? Can they actually sustain a 4 or 5 year championship window run? Because if they can, Joe Burrow and this team is talented enough to get them there and win it again and get them there again and this time win it. So that's why I'm going with Cincinnati at number 1. I believe in Joe Burrow the most. And that's why I'm going with Cincinnati.
If there's anyone that can do it, it's Joe Shiesty. So,
I mean,
he's got to be able to do it.
There you go. That's the top 5. The next 5 sports franchises to win their first league championship. Again, in order from maybe the least likely to most likely of these 5, Texas Rangers at 5, Phoenix Suns at 4, Seattle Kraken at 3, Buffalo Bills at number 2, and the Cincinnati Bengals at number 1.
I love it. I love it.
A couple other teams that I was just sort of maybe considering, maybe not super heavy. The Brooklyn Nets in the NBA, a lot for like the infrastructure. They're in Brooklyn. You feel like they could put enough talent together, but the ownership is a question and they don't really have a winning history to make you feel confident in that. Orlando was another one that I just thought, with Paolo, Oklahoma City was another one with like Chet and SGA. Could they build a good enough team? Those are still kind of too far out to sort of point at to me. The one franchise in the NFL that I thought this franchise is competent enough and good enough to win it, I'm surprised they have it, is Atlanta. Atlanta Falcons was one I thought throwing in there just because I just feel like they have everything they need. They have a good ownership. They've got a great location, a great franchise history. They've been to a couple Super Bowls. Like, why not them, getting over the top? So anyhow.
Why no Jacksonville?
Yeah, Jacksonville I thought was considered. I don't trust that they'll even be in Florida in the next 10 years. So franchise stability, okay. I guess I think stability of your franchise has to be there. If you're winning a championship without ownership stability and franchise stability, you're doing it in like a 1 or 2 year window, really kind of fluky sort of stuff. So like that can happen, but I think that's where I sort of paused on Jacksonville was my apprehension towards the franchise, toward the ownership, and maybe what the future even holds for them in Jacksonville. So,
okay,
but definitely with Trevor Lawrence, and the current iteration, definitely a team maybe to consider in the next couple of years for sure. I like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
There
great top 5. Great top.